Ladies and gentlemen, Will Smith has left the building. And by the building, I mean the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences building. This just broke an hour ago. It's not Chicago related, but we're going to have some fun. This is called Chicago Corner because it's like we're out on the corner on a Friday night having fun talking shit, right? Welcome, everybody, to the Friday night edition of Chicago Corner. I'm all ready to go. I know that my co-hosts will be also, but let me quickly share what just broke. Will Smith quits Motion Picture Academy in wake of Oscar scandal. The Oscar-winning actor said he was heartbroken by his own actions. The decision comes as the Academy mulled possible expulsion. Actor Will Smith resigned his membership in the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences Friday, saying he is heartbroken by his actions during Sunday's Oscar ceremony when he walked on stage at the Dolby Theater and smacked comedian Chris Rock in the face. That was the slap heard across the world. In a statement first reported by Variety, Smith acknowledged receiving a disciplinary notice from the Academy and said he will fully accept any and all consequences for my conduct. My actions at the 94th Academy Awards presentation were shocking, painful, and inexcusable, he said. The list of those I have heard is long and include Chris, his family, many of my dear friends and loved ones, all those in attendance and global audiences at home. I betrayed the trust of the Academy. I deprived other nominees and winners of their opportunity to celebrate and be celebrated for their extraordinary work. I am heartbroken. I want to put the focus back on those who deserve attention for their achievements and allow the Academy to get back to the incredible work it does to support creativity and artistry in film. So I'm resigning from membership in the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Science and will accept any further consequences the board deems appropriate. Change takes time, and I am committed to doing the work to ensure that I never again allow violence to overcome reason. It's ironic because I had an opportunity this morning to go on with Shane over at Carberos Media on YouTube, and we talked some news stories, and we had a long conversation about the Chris Rock story. I mean, I called it a celebrity garbage story, but I was approaching it from the angle that everybody on social media seems to be oblivious of the fact that what I think we witnessed happened was about celebrity and class privilege and how celebrities and those we hold in high esteem routinely get away with shit the rest of us don't get away with. And not that anyone should get away with anything. But I do want to say for all of his narcissism and bad judgment and not being able to hold it together at the Academy Awards, I applaud him for taking responsibility and accountability. It was kind of a travesty, what we witnessed. But I do think it opens up the conversation to celebrities and those, and I also group politicians. Shane and I were talking about this in relation to celebrities and politicians routinely getting away with bad behavior. Hey, we've seen it here in Chicago with Mayor Rahm Emanuel getting away with shit that no one would get away with if they weren't in a position of power in the past. And I'm waiting for some kind of a scandal to break with Lori Lightfoot, if there is one, based on some of her bad decisions. But I want to welcome my co-host this evening, Mr. Kit Cabello.
Salutations and cheers, everyone.
And Mr. Ed Heller.
Hello, everybody.
And I want to, I told Kit and Ed before we started the show, I'm glad that Will has apologized and taking accountability for his actions. If it were my decision, though, if I were a comic at the Academy Awards, I want to share what I discovered today. This is like the most. This is the routine that Chris Rock should have given on stage. I might be too unkind with this, but I saw it today and I thought, hey man, it's all in good fun, and at the expense of what went down, let's have a laugh at Will's expense. I think some might find this a little mean-spirited, but I don't think it's mean-spirited. I think it's funny. So I want to share it for the first couple minutes, just so we can get a laugh before we dive into the serious stuff.
After the vicious attacks on Chris Rock last night, we think it's only right here at the Flavor 2 podcast to defend the comic's honor to tell jokes.
Glorious.
No. If you didn't see the Oscars, Chris Rock got himself in a hairy situation. He shined a light on female alopecia, while Jada's head shined a light on everything else. Chris was making... Seriously, how is Will supposed to get turned on if she has a woman's haircut? Now, I'm not saying that he's gay. He likes women, specifically ones that swim for Penn.
Holy shit.
All I'm saying is last night, first time Will fondled another man to make Jada happy.
Okay.
And Will's hand that struck Chris Rock was actually a metaphor for his relationship with Jada. Open when he wanted it to be closed. But let's be honest. Last night, Will Smith looked like he was from the streets of Philadelphia, and Jada looked like she was from the movie. Now, after all that drama, Will Smith still took home an Oscar. I'm talking about the award, not a Mexican guy to fuck his wife while he walks in the corner.
Whoa, holy shit, bro.
Will won the Oscar for Best Actor. People were saying it was for the Lifetime Achievement Award, and no, that's not it. That Oscar goes to the plumber that unclogged Jada's shower drain. Now,
I'm that guy shaking his head in the corner of the room right now.
It was actually Jada that helped Will get in character for King Richard. Because when she gives blowjobs, her head looks like a bouncing tennis ball. Give it up to Will, okay? Give it up to Will Smith. He is the only person to be recognized by the Motion Picture Academy and the Citizen app on the same night. And to everyone saying Will was probably under the influence, no, okay? He doesn't drink or do drugs. This is the only time he's ever smoked a rock in his life. Now, I feel bad for Chris Rock, okay? He was finally part of a hit white people will watch. Give Chris Rock some damn credit, okay? He took that smack like a champ.
Yeah, he did.
He's going to be ready, okay? He'll have more bobs and weaves than Jada's wig collection. Now, a lot of people are saying this never happened during Oscars So White. Exactly. Okay, the white Oscars are mind-numbingly boring, or as Jada would call it, a relationship with Will. So I think we can all admit.
Oh damn!
Okay, because if there was going to be one chick at the Oscars with a hair loss disease that doesn't understand humor, I would assume it'd be Amy Schumer.
Oh my God.
Anyway, Will, let this be a lesson to you. If you want to keep your wife's name out of other people's mouths, make sure to keep your hands off comedians. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Flagrant 2. Now let's start the show.
All right, great channel, great roast, and I gotta say, you know what?
Shit.
If Jada and Will don't like that kind of humor coming that way, maybe they ought to keep their private lives off of podcasts where they milk it for money and milk it for attention. Because look, we don't need to know that they have an open marriage. We don't need to know that Jada is sleeping with other men at the expense of, I think, Will's mental health. I think what we saw
that's messing with him.
He's been cucked, okay? Yeah. And what we saw at the Academy Awards was not so much about defending her honor, because everybody knew it was a joke, and Chris Rock wasn't making an alopecia joke. It was a comment on her look, which I thought was actually a compliment, because G.I. Jane, what's her name, Demi Moore playing G.I. Jane, was a tough, good-looking woman.
Total badass.
I think that and a badass. I think Chris just lost his shit, and it was a moment where he had to stand up for himself as a man, because she's literally emasculating him. If he had any good sense, he'd get the fuck out of that marriage.
You mean Will.
Will, I'm sorry, Will. Yeah. Because this whole spectacle we're seeing was set up by what preceded it. And again, I think it speaks a lot to celebrity and class privilege. So I just thought,
or maybe in hypothetically, it might have been set up by the manufacturers of an upcoming alopecia drug. But I'm just saying.
Knock, knock, guys.
Oh, damn, Edward.
Knock, knock.
Look. Here's the thing.
You didn't say who's there,
because everyone's got to talk about this. But look,
who's there?
Here's
Al.
Here's something we got to take.
Who?
Alopecia. Go ahead, Kit.
Here's something we got to take away from what we saw with Will Smith and him assaulting Chris Rock. It was wrong, but I think there's a lot more that was seizing underneath, and that is, look, we saw Will Smith being cut on national TV last year, and even all those years before, to where, Jada was just dragging him through the mud. And the thing is, it's one thing to put on the tough exterior. It's another thing to realize that there is a breaking point. And look, the Oscars, it's a fun night. Everyone's there, loose, relax. there was a point where I found the Oscars entertaining, but that was when I was a kid, and I kind of remember, maybe it's a blurring effect, maybe my brain's playing tricks on me, but I kind of remember the old Oscars kind of being somewhat entertaining, somewhat fun, all that good stuff. But then after a while, it just became really dull, boring, and just a celebration of
full of itself.
Really full of itself.
Yeah.
But when Chris Rock made that joke, there's a short video segment where you see Will Smith laughing at it, and he's laughing with everyone's laughing at it because let's face it, a comedian. The purpose of a comedian is to remind everyone that you're human, you're flawed, and that you're open for ridicule. That's what a good comedian does. That's why I hate it when people say censor this comedian or censor that comedian, because you're full of shit and you're trying to censor art. I saw for a split moment, you see Jada looking and she looks uncomfortable, and Will sees it. And obviously, I don't know what their relationship's like, but maybe something triggered in him that had him thinking all these scenarios in his brain. And he did something that normally he would not do that caused him to snap. And if you look at his acceptance speech, he's realizing what he did. There's no recovery of it, even if it's defending her honor, which I highly doubt. It wasn't. You could tell he's dealing with some emotional things at home, and that it's a two-way street. Because let's face it, I'm not going to say either party's better or innocent, but Will Smith should not have hit Chris Rock. Chris Rock being a comedian, let's face it, comedians make fun of everyone. That's what they're supposed to do. That's their job. And I think really we're not done yet seeing this full-on meltdown or fallout of what Will Smith did. And I think it's going to have some long-term consequences, unfortunately.
Yeah, the one takeaway from that video clip was that the guy was wearing armor.
Yeah, and that
might just be, standard uniform for comedians going forward until people start realizing they can't just go up on stage and assault comedians like that.
That what he did share that was the reason they asked him, "What's with the armor? When's it coming off?" And he said, "No, this is what we're all going to have to wear from now on." And these guys in this podcast were also talking, Kid, about what spell Jada holds over Will, opining that she's a witch or a sorceress. She rolled her eyes, and that's suddenly when Will went into action. So I wonder if there was some kind of spell that just got triggered. You got to be. And the other thing too is it was interesting, and we won't. God, I can't believe we've spent this much time on it already, but there was an alternate camera angle that was taken from somebody's cell phone when Will came down from the stage after slapping Chris, and Jada was laughing. You could see her, she turned her head, she was laughing at the whole thing. So this wasn't the big emotional trauma for Jada that he made it out to be, right? And ironically, you know what? Let me bring this up. I think I still have it on my desktop. Interestingly enough, somebody went into a time machine and found this clip from YouTube that just showed just how sensitive Will Smith is.
I love you, G.I. Jane too.
Will Smith is to people who have medical conditions with baldness. Take a look.
Can't wait to see it. All right.
Yeah,
there's the stink guy. There's the stink guy.
That was a nice one. Okay.
It's rewind time.
You can't do that in this world, man. You can't do that in this world, man. Arsenio, they got rules. They got rules. Like, he has a rule. The bass player, he got a rule. He got to wax his head every morning. That's a rule. He follows the rules, man. He follows.
Rules for thee, not for me or celebrities, if you're Will Smith. I mean, this shows that it's open season on everybody if you're going to make a joke, even a bad one. So let's stop the pearl clutching that poor Jada felt bad because she was sporting a hairstyle that a lot of women actually look good in.
And
I'm sorry that it's a medical condition. I'm sorry it's a medical condition, but she doesn't look bad. I don't like her. I mean, I'm not attracted to her, on that level, but I will admit, she looks good in, and a lot of women look good that sport their hairstyle. It wasn't an insult. It wasn't a horrible joke. It wasn't punching downward like this clip of Will Smith punching at poor Arsenio Hall's musician, house band musician. Lucky for Will that this musician's wife wasn't in the studio there to go up and clock Will on stage.
Keep my husband's name out your mouth.
Yeah, I'm actually more offended by Chris Rock digging back to a G.I. Jane for a joke. How old is that movie?
Yeah,
really old.
I think he was just improvising. He saw her and he's just like, oh, there's an easy joke based on, the fact that she's sporting that hairstyle. Anyway. All right. So that was our fun Friday night on the corner, just to like have a little bit of a laugh before we get in the serious stuff. But since the story did break before the show, I'm like, let's have a little bit of fun with it.
Is it too early to start drinking, Jerry?
Dude, look at where this bottle is. I already started. Kit?
Oh, I already poured the last bottle of this Takamine whiskey, 8 years old, and I got a little story behind it too.
I'll share before we begin.
In 1890, Jojeki Takami moved to America with a dream. By 1900, the visionary scientist had created medical adrenaline, saving countless lives. In the spirit of friendship, he donated the Japanese cherry trees to Washington, D.C., which still bring joy to visitors every spring. One of his earlier experiments used an ancient sake-making method to grow koji spores on barley to create a maltiness whiskey. It turns out koji is better than malting for making whiskey. If not for the misfortune, this may have become a style of American whiskey by 1895. Sadly, the original Takamaki whiskey was never released. Even though Takamaki's project did not bear fruit, it paved the path for us. The Suzanki Brewery and Distillery was over 200 years of experience using koji as a sake maker. Through trial and error, we have succeeded in distilling his dream into Takamaki whiskey you now hold in your hands. And he actually lived in the state of Illinois. And what happened was his home was burnt down, and so was the distillery.
That's something you don't often see on whiskey labels. Mm-hmm. I like that. I think that's pretty cool. Gives them history.
It's actually, I got this whiskey. Again, we're not sponsored. Not sponsored by anyone. But I got this whiskey at Kobani and Kampai. It's here in the city of Chicago. And that's where I found out the additional history that this guy lived in the state of Illinois. So, cheers. And I love me some good Japanese whiskey. There you go.
Cheers. I got my Jack and Cokes mixed here for the whole show. This should last me the whole show, I hope. In the chat, Steve Cutler Live. I like my newsmen to be whiskey drunk by the end of the broadcast. Well, we will work very, very hard to meet your expectations, Steve.
We will try.
So let's get into our first story here tonight. And thankfully, we've got some video with it. So I'm going to run the video, and we will talk about it. Lightfoot is gaslighting the city. I came up with that.
On April 27, pending city council approval, we'll open up the process by which people can express their interest. You've got to be a City of Chicago resident. One card, whether it's gas card or CTA card, per household. So that's going to be important. And then you've got to have a valid city sticker. And then we're literally going to pull from a lottery. And then we'll start rolling this out. The thing that to also keep in mind is not going to happen all at once. We want to make sure, because we, unfortunately, we think that these escalated gas prices are going to continue into the summer months. So we want to make sure that we're
open up the TIF funds and send everybody checks.
As painless as possible. Not have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Not have to sit in a long line. Give this. Bring these cards directly to.
I wonder where she got this idea. Where did she get this idea?
Yeah, no idea.
And he's pissed, man. She's going to steal his thunder. It is so obviously transparent that Willie is winning public favor, that the circus for the mayoral election, gentlemen, has begun. And let me share what good old Willie Wilson there, Dr. Willie Wilson, shared in this report from NBC Chicago. Now that we're done with the video, let me just bring us up here. Oh, sorry, kid, I don't want to cover you.
That's right. Don't worry about it. How you doing, Willie?
How you doing now?
I'm doing okay. Good Cabello.
Good to see you. Got more gas to roll out. Going to give away more gas. All right, Chicago businessman and
Willie.
Well, it's not hard. It's just lowering your voice a little.
It just takes practice.
Chicago businessman and philanthropist Dr. Willie Wilson, who recently gave away $1.2 million in gas to area residents, no lottery there, has dismissed a new plan unveiled by Mayor Lori Lightfoot to provide $12.5 million in prepaid gas and transit cards as, ready guys, you want to know what Willie called it? a political stunt. No
He's
sense
not
of
wrong.
self-aware- Well, he's not, but
He's not, no.
he's not wrong, guys. But it's the lack of self-awareness there, because he hasn't owned up to the same thing. Although he's been very honest about giving out his money for gas and helping people, and if it helps him win public favor, that's fine, right? At least he's honest about it. I just think it's kind of funny, and I'm not standing up for the mayor here, but I just think it's ironic that Willie, in his thunder being stolen, is pointing at Lightfoot and saying this is a political stunt without really owning up to himself and acknowledging, yeah, it's a political stunt for him too. They're all engaging in the political stunts now. Wilson, who will announce in April whether or not he will challenge Lightfoot. We got to wait. It's going to be like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, waiting for Willie to come to the front gates and make his announcement regarding what he's going to do. In the whether or not he will challenge Lightfoot in the 2023 Chicago mayoral election, released a statement Thursday arguing that the gas card giveaway will not do enough to help city residents deal with soaring gas prices, and called on state officials to waive taxes on fuel. Well, he's right there. So it's a political stunt in the sense that she's doing something, but she's not doing enough. So yeah, true, Willie, I concede to that. Absolutely,
Yeah, he's absolutely right there.
This plan is tone deaf and does not begin to address the needs of those struggling from historic highs in gas prices and taxes added on by the city, state, and county, he said. Mayor Lightfoot's actions are reflective of her being out of touch with the citizens of Chicago. Wilson urged lawmakers in Chicago, Cook County, and the state of Illinois to suspend taxes on fuel, which add up to nearly 78 cents per gallon. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker has not called for a suspension of the state's 39 cents per gallon gas tax, but has proposed that the state will halt an expected increase of more than 2 cents per gallon, which would take effect July 1st as a result of inflation. Hey, buddy. Thanks for joining us.
Harlan's Media's official producer.
He's our little mascot here.
And Chicago Corner, too.
Yeah. State fuel taxes help to pay for infrastructure projects on Illinois roadways, and a suspension of those taxes has been opposed by many groups who say that it would have an adverse effect on aging infrastructure such as roads and bridges. Cook County charges 6 cents per gallon in taxes, and the city of Chicago has 8 cents per gallon tax on fuel. Originally, Lightfoot had proposed eliminating a 3 cent per gallon of tax from gas prices, but on Thursday she unveiled the new program that would offer free gas and public transit cards to Chicago area residents, remember, by lottery. The quote-unquote Chicago Moves initiative would issue up to 50,000 preloaded gas cards worth $150 each, which would be distributed to residents through a lottery system. The city would issue 100,000 public transit cards worth $50. I know from talking to many residents that they're feeling the strain. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and many are unable to fill their tank as much as they normally would because their dollars just don't stretch that far. So my administration's been working through a variety of options to see how we can provide the greatest relief to as many residents as we can, Lightfoot said. You know what it is, guys? It's not as much the gravel as the cadence and the rhythm and how she talks. Pending approval by the city council, applications for gas cards could open as soon as April 27th, with applications limited to one per household.
Why is she waiting so long to do this?
Well, the thing is, this is Lightfoot. Never mind.
No, go ahead.
Well, the thing is, look, here's the reason why she's waiting so long. It's because the thing is, Lori Lightfoot likes to test out the waters. That's why she's trying to click, copy, and paste what Willie Wilson's doing, only except she's going to fail at it worse. See, here's the thing. Not to defend Willie, but when the first attempt, when he did the free gas giveaway, it was, let's be clear about it, it was a disaster, not an epic failure, not great, not terrible, but the second time he did it, okay, somewhat more organized. Lori Lightfoot now is adding in extra steps, and she's trying to curry favor with voters, but we've all seen how Lightfoot treats the city, how she treats voters and constituents. She's been ignoring the demands of the South Side and West Side and the North Side and all the city of Chicago because she only cares about making herself look good. She's ignored gentrification. She's ignored the lead in our drinking water. She's ignored the political corruption and the police corruption. She's doing this in a vain attempt to make herself look presentable to voters in the 2023 municipal election. That's a real truth about Mayor Lori Lightfoot.
like most politicians too, Kit, she's convinced that people will see this good deed on her part and forget about all the other shit that she hasn't done for the past 3 years. And she'll steal attention from Willie because now she's doing it. She's also it's an attempt to distract people from what he's doing and take the spotlight away from him.
Yep.
With his idea. As Kathy says, she doesn't have an original thought in her head. You know, she had the mayor of New York come out a couple weeks ago to powwow over stuff in Chicago while she put off all those town hall meetings that apparently, you know, kind of bombed in and of themselves when we reported on what happened at the meeting. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. Constituents there were just like, this is a joke. It's a photo op for the politicians.
Yep.
Chicago residents 18 and older with a current and valid city sticker on their vehicles and those with household incomes at or below 140% of the area median income for the city would be eligible for the cards. Hey, everybody, apply for the lottery. Take advantage of it. Take what you can when you can. Okay. But let's be very frank on what this is all about. In recent weeks, Wilson has it's kicking in, guys. In recent weeks, Wilson
for it. Like after April, sometime in May, because she still has to run this by the city council.
Yeah. In recent weeks, Wilson has held 2 separate gas giveaways, giving away $1.2 million in free fuel. We know about it. Wilson also teased the possibility of a 3rd gas giveaway. I'm enjoying this more than them enjoying it because the struggle, the Lord has blessed me to be able to do it, he said. That's about what I got to say now, and we're going to try to go back home tonight and figure it out. How can we do more? In his letter criticizing Lightfoot's proposal, Wilson said that he is calling on elected leaders to suspend the gas tax in Illinois and in Chicago, and that if elected officials don't act within 30 to 60 days, that he will announce a real plan to help area residents, which, you know, we know will also coincide with his April election announcement in some way. Thank you, Willie. So, yeah, I mean, if Lightfoot trotting out somebody else's idea. There was some fun stuff I caught on the Reddit feed from people regarding this. It's a political stunt, I would know, because mine was too, in quotes, like coming from Willie. Exactly. The difference being that Willie Wilson did it with his own money. Lori is doing it with our money. If Willie Wilson wanted to help people without it causing a traffic nightmare, I would have preferred he mailed gas cards to the poorest neighborhoods. Then those people can go out on their own time, not have to wait hours in long lines, and not have a chance.
He still can.
He still can. Look, the failure in Willie's first attempt was that it wasn't planned properly. But he figured out working out some of the kinks the second time around, and yeah, he could work this out the third time around. Reminds me of Oprah and the $5 KFC meals that caused riots. The Cook County Republican Party actually endorsed Willie in the last mayoral election, so I guess they like him. All right. Anyway, that's all we have on Willie Lori gaslighting the city and what's to come.
Agreed. So look, here's the thing. Mayor Lightfoot will implement this program, and there's going to be a scandal behind it. There's going to be red tape behind it. And of course, throughout the entire press conference meeting, it won't be focused, especially when the reporters are going to be talking to Mayor Lightfoot. They're going to be asking her, is this an attempt to outshine Willie Wilson? Is this an attempt to curry favor with voters? Because at this point, Chicagoans are very well aware of the crap that Lightfoot has been giving to us. And we are able to smell it. We're able to see it. We're able to see what kind of a failure of a leader she is. She's someone who likes to play dress up. She's someone who's been incompetent throughout her entire time being our city's mayor. And we need new leadership. Now, I'm dreading to think how this 2023 election will turn out. Chances are, it looks like all 3 of us are going to be right. It's going to be another clown car, and Lori Lightfoot will be one of those candidates as well. But she cannot, under any circumstances, be reelected. And the danger of Lightfoot getting reelected is, number one, it will feed her ego. She'll think that the city loves her. She'll think that her policies are okay. And she'll start implementing far harsher draconian policies all throughout the city, all the while ignoring police corruption and police brutality, political corruption, the lead that's in Chicago's drinking water, our schools that are being shut down. You see, Mayor Lightfoot and I want to again tell this to our audience, is someone who has a problem with being held accountable for her actions. And one of the consequences right now, especially with electing her, is that she thinks that the city just supports her 100%. Now, while if you look at the previous election year in 2019, where all the districts did vote in favor for her, because let's face it, Tony Preckwinkle was no saint, and Tony Preckwinkle sank her own campaign. Tony Preckwinkle's biggest enemy wasn't Lori Lightfoot, it was herself. But seeing, again, voter turnout, I'm dreading to think, and shout out again to Case Study QB, we got him here
Thanks,
in the house.
Case Study. Thank you.
I'm dreading to think that if there's going to be a further lower voter turnout and there are enough voters who do turn out to support Lori Lightfoot, she's going to still think that the city supports her 100%. And that will be unchecked ego. And I'm talking about something that really, with her mindset, she'll be someone who will not challenge herself. She's someone who will continue on with implementing, again, terrible policies, but she'll have the ego of the voters or whatever few voters that do turn out to vote for her. That's why I'm saying we cannot afford a second term of Lightfoot. It will be worse than the first. She's got to go. She has to be a one-term mayor.
She's got a real chip on her shoulder too.
Yeah.
I find fascinating, and I'm not. This isn't said in jest. Like our former mayor, who was of minor height stature, there are some serious Napoleon complexes going on with these two. I don't know that Rahm had a chip on his shoulder as much as he just had the arrogance to feed his ego. But Lori really goes into every situation expecting to be listened to, never questioned, never collaborative, never engaging. And the moment you ask a question that's awkward for her or makes her uncomfortable that she just doesn't want to deal with, she will give you that stink eye and literally try to intimidate you down into not having your right to question what's going on. As we saw in that news conference with the new alderman of the Chinatown ward, she didn't like the questions that were coming, and they weren't unfair questions. But she expects that everybody's just going to fall in line, and that is not how a city should be run. It's not a monarchy.
Yeah.
But yeah, the chip on her shoulder is what fascinates me, and I don't quite know where that comes from. Well, let's go to this next story because at least she did something finally. This vacancy hadn't been filled since Joe Ferguson resigned last year, and she finally has solved the question of who's going to be serving as the new city inspector general. This comes from Fran Spielman at the Chicago Sun-Times. Lightfoot has chosen Deborah Witzberg as the new city inspector general. The overriding question was whether Lightfoot was willing to appoint Deborah Witzberg, even though she was chosen by former Inspector General Joe Ferguson, with whom the mayor clashed repeatedly and ultimately forced out. Joe Ferguson was one of our greater inspector generals here in the city of Chicago, specifically because he and the mayor clashed, and because she wasn't happy with some of the stones he was turning over or some of the recommendations he was making. And I mean, hey, at least it's good that I have faith in Ms. Witzberg, that she was Ferguson's. She worked with Ferguson. I think she was the interim attorney. City inspector general. So let's get into the rest of the article here. She chose Deborah Witzberg to be the Chicago's new $178,488 a year watchdog in an apparent attempt to burnish her reformer credentials. Walter Katz, who served as deputy chief of staff for public safety under Mayor Rahm Emanuel, was one of 5 members of the search committee that recommended Witzberg and another candidate from outside Chicago. I don't know about candidates from outside Chicago, not because I don't trust they're going to be. Actually, you would think they would be more objective, but
No, they're not.
No, I know. Let me get to the point. She chooses people from outside the city that don't have a connection or understanding of how the city works that she can control. I think this is what we're seeing, or what we have seen, with the police superintendent that she brought in from out of town. She wants people she can control that don't know the landscape.
That's
so
right.
I was just clarifying why I felt that way, Kit.
And that is a fundamental problem,
right,
especially when you're trying to administer ruling over a city. And let's face it, the office of mayor of Chicago, thanks to Old Man Daley, cemented the office as something as akin to a king. So Mayor Lightfoot and all of her previous predecessors had the power of a de facto king in this city. I know that there's democracy and we vote and all that other stuff, but let's face it, the office of the mayor of the city of Chicago is unlimited power. And by putting people in charge of different offices in charge of the city of Chicago, would be at different administration positions, you're having people that don't live in the city, never lived in the city, don't care about the city,
don't understand the politics and the landscape in that way either,
or the people. And I don't see them ever really trying to change anything, because the thing is, they don't know how it works. All what they have to do is take their marching orders from the tyrant Lori Lightfoot, and then that's it. That's all what they have to do. There will be zero accountability, and that's another problem. If she gets reelected, think about who else she'll bring in from outside Chicago. They won't be bringing in any new ideas on reforming the city. They'll be stagnant. They'll be waiting for the orders of Lightfoot, and that's it. They won't be able to do anything to contribute to making the lives of the people of the city of Chicago that much better. This is a danger with Lori Lightfoot getting reelected. More people like this. I don't want people who live outside Chicago to get these jobs here, or who don't understand the landscape of our city. I want people who are going to represent our city, who live in the city, who know the people, and care about the issues that are happening to everyday Chicagoans.
That's exactly how these candidates should be chosen. They need to understand the local landscape regarding the citizens who live here and what they want, as well as the political landscape that others from outside the city might think they comprehend from an outsider viewpoint, but aren't really going to when they take those marching orders from the person who chooses them and gives them this high-paying job in the city of Chicago. So, glad that she took Kat's and other people's recommendations here. They were looking at a candidate from outside Chicago. Kat said the mayor has chosen wisely in Witzburg. He's confident that under Witzburg's leadership, the watchdog's office with an excellent national reputation, and it does have that, will only be enhanced to the benefit of Chicago taxpayers. She knows the Inspector General's office. She knows Chicago government. And in her role as Public Safety Inspector General, she did a very fine job, Kat said Wednesday. As for Lightfoot's openly stated desire for an Inspector General who understands the importance of staying in their lane, Kat said he has not spoken to the mayor about her mindset and has no idea what she would or wouldn't tolerate, as if the mayor needs to tolerate or not tolerate what a city inspector general's job means to do.
Yeah,
what she will or won't tolerate. Screw her. But he added, when it has come to making these important decisions about who leads the various accountability offices in the city of Chicago, she's made some really good decisions. The Chicago Sun-Times reported earlier this month that the search for Joe Ferguson's replacement was down to two finalists, Witzburg and the outsider. The identity of the out-of-town candidate was not known. Sources would say only that it was not a household name and that Witzburg was clearly the more experienced of the two. And we have Miss Witzburg on screen. Also weighing against the other candidates was how long it would take for an outsider to learn the ropes, that's what Kit was talking about, of Chicago politics and how hampered the new watchdog might be until they did. Over the years, mayoral appointees from outside Chicago have repeatedly been chewed up and spit out by the city's unique brand of politics. The city's unique brand of corruption. The overriding question was whether Lightfoot was willing to appoint Witzburg, even though she was chosen by Ferguson, with whom the mayor clashed openly and repeatedly and ultimately forced out. It's a shame he was forced out. I actually just, in reading this, I didn't realize he was forced out. I thought he was just tired of it and left on his own accord. But if she was stonewalling and making his job miserable, I guess I kind of understand why he decided he had to go or had to leave. That does something to your mental health. Lightfoot's decision to choose Witzburg would seem to prove she is primarily concerned with shoring up her progressive bona fides amid complaints that she has not been nearly as transparent as she had pledged to be, given her campaign promise to bring in the light in the wake of the corruption scandal still swirling around indicted Alderman Edward Burke on the 14th. The new Inspector General refused to comment. If confirmed by the City Council, she will be locked into a 4-year term. Witzburg is the third person to serve as Chicago's Deputy Inspector General for Public Safety. She stepped down from that job to avoid a conflict of interest as she pursued the top job. Under Ferguson and Witzberg, the public safety section did a series of high-profile audits and reports sharply critical of the Chicago Police Department and Lightfoot. Those reports targeted everything from the error-filled gang database, which we're still talking about, and the slow walk towards compliance with the federal consent decree, to a shot spotter contract that Witzberg contended rarely leads to investigatory stops or evidence of gun crimes and can change the way officers interact with areas they're charged with patrolling. Even more damning and embarrassing to the mayor was the Inspector General's blistering critique of CPD's handling of civil unrest in 2020 that devolved into 2 devastating rounds of looting. It concluded CPD was outflanked and unprepared for problems it should have anticipated, and that rank and file officers were left to high-stakes improvisation without adequate supervision or guidance, as we witnessed when they were camped out in, which alderman's office was that? Eating his popcorn and drinking his coffee?
No, actually, it was a U.S. House representative.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Thank you.
I think Bobby Rush.
Bobby Rush, that's right. It was Rush's office.
Bobby Rush's office.
Uninvited. They somehow got into his office. Maybe the windows were broken and they were able to reach in and open the handle. I don't know.
No, they had the key.
Oh, did they? Okay. Do police officers routinely have keys to private offices of representatives like that?
I believe someone had given them directions to go down and secure his office.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he was eating their popcorn.
Yeah, and in their coffee. So that
eating
report,
my popcorn.
they were eating popcorn. Don't you remember that from the video?
I know. But
Okay,
Bobby Rush was saying they were eating my popcorn, like So on the one hand,
popcorn.
Yeah. So on the one hand, I'm kind of like, okay, cops, I'm glad you ate that politician's popcorn because they got gold-plated health care and 6-figure salary. So all right, I'll give them a pass on this one.
Before ending his 12-year run as Chicago's top watchdog, Ferguson also delivered a 163-page report on the botched police raid that humiliated social worker Anjanette Young, who was left.
He also went on a bunch of podcasts too. I could probably drop a link in there for one from Alex Nitkin from the Daily Line. It's definitely worth a listen if you guys haven't heard what.
That's an interview with. It's an interview with Ferguson.
Yeah, with Ferguson.
I think I recall it. I think I may have played clips from it on a show last year when we were talking about Ferguson.
Yeah, I'm certain we talked about it.
Yeah, that was a good interview.
I think so. Yeah.
Delivered a 163-page report on the botched police raid that humiliated social worker Anjanette Young, who was left handcuffed and naked for 40 minutes in a room full of male police officers as she pled with them that they had raided the wrong home. Given that investigative history of how defensive, that's a common word that pops up with Lightfoot, defensive. Lightfoot can be when criticized. It was at least an open question whether the mayor would choose a new inspector general with potential to embarrass her as much as Ferguson had. Now, she has that fiercely independent watchdog in Witzberg. Only time will tell whether Lightfoot will tolerate the inevitability critical reports that come her way, or whether Chicago is headed for yet another public clash between a mayor and the city's independent watchdog. Katz said he has been on both sides of that table. He's been in the mayor's offices and in those types of inspector general positions, even though they were lower in profile. They're both professionals and they're different personalities than perhaps Joe Ferguson brought to the table. So we'll see how it works out. But I'm optimistic they'll be able to work really well together, Katz said. Interesting. I know them both. I know they both want what is best for Chicago. Sometimes inspectors generals do things that will make those over whom they have oversight uncomfortable. But we were impressed with the professionalism that Deborah Witzberg showed as the public safety inspector general and as to what we believe she can bring to the table. And I believe the mayor saw the same thing. So Ferguson could not be reached for comment. He's a former federal prosecutor who served with Lightfoot in the U.S. Attorney's Office when he was appointed by former Mayor Richard M. Daley in 2009 to replace departing Inspector General David Hoffman. He was another good watchdog. I remember following his career and what he was doing. Lightfoot was among those who vouched for and recommended him. That close relationship initially raised questions about just how independent Ferguson would be in a Lightfoot administration, but it wasn't long before there was behind-the-scenes tension. After Lightfoot hinted strongly she would not reappoint Ferguson because she favors term limits,
So do we, Lori.
Really, Lightfoot, you do?
And does not believe people should stay in office indefinitely, as I'm sure she plans to. Ferguson decided to go out on his own terms. He told the Sun-Times last fall he was unable to recommend disciplinary action against any city employees for mishandling the aftermath of the raid on Young's homes because a simultaneous outside investigation requested by the mayor included interviews with 20 of those same city employees. Lightfoot's administration then claimed attorney-client privilege to shield that information from him, Ferguson said. God, cover up? Kind of reminds me of Rahm Emanuel.
Could be. Maybe.
In how they handle things. At the time, he characterized the Lightfoot administration's handling of the Anjanette Young video as a remarkable, troubling closing of a circle. It brings us back where we were 5 or 6 years ago and where her career got its jump start. Yet the city is engaged in similar activity, and in this instance, with respect to a living victim, he said. Well, I really wish her the best, and I think that at least in one way, we'll be in good hands if she carries on the legacy that Joe Ferguson left her in holding Mayor Lightfoot's feet to the fire and digging up some more dirt that might be advantageous to torpedoing her run in the next mayoral election.
Yeah.
Ilhan or Lightfoot is trying to turn Chicago into New York City, a playground for the rich. Yes.
And that's another danger of getting her reelected, too. She wants to implement that policy. Look at New York City. Look at what it's become. It is a playground for the rich. Long time ago, New York City, again, its people made it who it was. Now you got a bunch of rich people who don't care about the history or culture. The families that have lived there for generations are long since gone. And the people that are of the working class, they have to commute outside of the city just to get in that city. Chicagoans need to stand up for this next city election and elect people that will actually fight. And that's the thing we're trying to do here with this channel, and shine a light on individuals that will actually care about the city of Chicago, care about the people, and more importantly, vote these jagoffs out of office. I don't want the city to be a playground for the rich. I want it to be where, again, you have the generations of families that have lived here, continue to live here, to continue to build it up. My family has lived in Chicago since the 1900s. All right, and in my neighborhood, we've lived here since 1952. I'm not going anywhere. This is my home. Chicago is filled with good people. We need to keep on fighting for it.
Chicago isn't beyond saving. Give me more time. There are good people here. Thank you, Bruce Wayne. A toast to Christian Bale.
To Batman.
And Christopher Nolan, and a great series of movies that kind of mirrored the political corruption we're constantly seeing in our own city. All right, so let me go to our next story. I have a hot take on this story, guys. Let me play the video, and then we can talk about it. If it plays. Of course, after this commercial.
Yeah, let's go ahead and mute that commercial real quick, and we'll filibuster for a little bit. Well, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Hit that ring bell notification for Chicago Corner, which is live every Tuesday and Friday at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. That's right. Chicago Corner is one of the newest channels to be part of the 99 Perspectives Network, and it is right under Hard Lens Media. As we continue to grow this channel up, Hard Lens Media will continue to promote Chicago Corner and vice versa, because let's face it, into 2023, it looks like we got breaking news, so I'll stop there.
You can finish. Go ahead.
All right. Support Chicago Corner, and Hard Lens Media is proud of the work that's happening here. I am proud of the work that Jerry Vasilatos is doing, and we're going to be making some new changes here as well. And also shout out to Edward Heller, who's been doing great work with our website, great work with some of our merch, even promoting the Chicago Corner Flavor Improving Mug. If you don't got it, get it. And if you don't get it, go figure it out, because this is some good stuff here. Shout out to Edward Heller. Hey, chat, I'm making a demand. Give a thumbs up to Jerry and E. Heller, who have contributed phenomenally to the growth and the buildup of Chicago Corner. All right. I'm glad to be a co-host here, because I you know what? I got to say this. I don't think I could do a really good job compared to what Jerry's doing. All right. And I'm the host of Hard Lens.
Oh, come on, Kit. Come on. Thank
Chicago
you.
Corner, number one.
I also want to give props to Ed. I shared before the show started. My mom watches live. And if you're watching live right now, hey, Mom.
Hi, Jerry's mom.
And Mom, I shared with Ed. My mom asked me, she's like, what does Ed do? He's a very very talented, intelligent man. What does he do there? And I said, well, he's been a moderator with the Hardlands Media Channel. He's a graphic designer. I told her a little bit about Ed's history career-wise, and I just shared with Ed that Ed, you're appreciated, not just by my mom, but by me and many other people.
Yeah, so go ahead, everyone. Give a thumbs up to Jerry and Edward right now.
Thanks,
Thank you to Jerry and Jerry's mom and everyone in the chat and everyone who's supporting Hardlands Media and Chicago Corner. And thank you to everybody who purchases a flavor-improving mug. The mugs that improve flavor.
Some nice comments in the live chat real quick. Warren, Ilhan are absolutely right. And Warren lives in New York. New York City is a liberal hellhole. The poor have been forced out, and the culture in neighborhoods has been converted into overpriced barbershops and hipster bars. And I would also say, though, Warren, it's like those aren't really liberals. I think that those are like covert liberals. I mean, we can talk up and down about like what does the word liberal really mean now, and how has it been co-opted, and how has it been dragged through the mud by those who used it to pretend that they were while they're pushing their own agendas. But I mean, yeah, fair point to like state it that way. What else is coming from the live chat? Ilhanner says, both my grandparents' families had to move because of urban development. And he's referencing Chicago because he mentioned earlier his family had to move out of Chicago because of billionaires. I'd like to hear more about that story, Ilhanner. And Dominic from TrueDemocracyNow.org. Remember that citizens can only hold politicians accountable on election day. They cannot be held responsible for any irreversible, harmful decisions they make during their terms of office. Thank you, Dominic. So let's go to let me go to this video and we can talk about it. Oh, and I got to turn the volume up. Come on.
CBS 2's Meredith Barrick is on that scene. And Meredith, these thieves we hear had an unusual disguise.
Marie, Chicago police and the FBI now investigating the robbery at this Chase Bank. Per police radio traffic, whomever robbed this bank got away with a lot of money.
They said roughly about 100K. Oh, okay, 100K.
$100,000 was taken, according to what you just heard. Police radio reporting that the robber or robbers were wearing some type of security guard uniform when they took the money. Detectives were on scene all afternoon, interviewing witnesses, looking at evidence, and figuring out how the robbers got that money.
Security uniform. The actual security guard here was punching in the code to get in the back room, and then that's when they bum rushed her and put everybody on the floor and got to that back vault.
Chase Bank tells me that all customers and employees that were inside during the robbery are okay. No word on whether a gun was used. Reporting live on the Near West Side, I'm Meredith Barrick, CBS 2 News.
All right, so here's my first thought when I saw this story. And as we hear the details, I'm glad nobody was hurt. But I got to say, guys, I don't feel bad about Chase Bank being robbed.
Won't somebody please help the poor banks?
They're a shitty bank. I used to bank with them and had endless problems with them.
No, shitty bank is a different bank.
Awesome. Good recovery there. But it's interesting. The romanticization, if that's a word, in the past of gangsters during the Depression had to do with the fact people were poor, they were struggling, and gangsters and bank robbers robbing banks, I think for a lot of people back then, represented a wish fulfillment that they couldn't engage in against, to a certain degree, like societal oppressors. Chase has got insurance. Chase is going to have that $100,000 covered.
They make that in like a minute.
Right. Yeah. And that's probably just in overdraft fees.
Man, I wish I had $100,000 just to appear in my bank
that'd be
account.
nice to play with. That'd be nice to have.
But as I heard this story, I'm just like, good. As long as no one was hurt, I really don't feel bad about it. Because Chase is just like not a great banking. It doesn't serve its customers well. It doesn't treat its customers well. And quite frankly, I'm not worried about rich institutions or people losing their money compared to the losses that the average working man and woman in this country are facing all the time with the just absolute contempt they're treated with by our representatives and politicians regarding policies, minimum wage, healthcare, surviving through this pandemic, surviving without being able to go to work, small businesses being shut down because of the pandemic, while the billions of dollars are shoveled out to pay down the city's debt, police overtime. So it is interesting how these guys committed this robbery, though, in that the security uniforms that they used. It reminded me of...
Well, actually, now that you mention that, it's like, I mean, if you were doing a robbery, being dressed as security wouldn't necessarily be unusual. I don't know what that reporter at the front end was talking about there.
Yeah. So just an interesting side story there as far as like not feeling bad for those who were robbed. Oh, I also wanted to do another quick update to a story last week that we covered that was the breaking news at the open of the show. The guy who ran under the Midway airport runway and tried to board the airplane or stop the airplane that was taking off. Apparently he was also naked.
Oh, so Naked Gun. Naked Gun 2.5.
Yeah, once again, my lawyers have advised me not to say anything about that event, which I was not at. I was not there. I am not allowed to talk about it, and my chief lawyer, P.L. Sullivan, says to shut my trap about it.
There you go. I want to acknowledge somebody in chat. Eleanor says, Lightfoot is trying to turn Chicago into New York City, a playground for the rich. My family had to move out of Chicago because of billionaires.
Yep.
Both my grandparents' families had to move because of urban development, which happened a lot under Daley Jr. and Rahm Emanuel.
Here are those comments. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, my grandfather lived on the west side of Chicago, and his family lived in a poor apartment complex. His father lost his job due to a factory closing, and the building they lived in got condemned. Oh, my goodness. I'm sorry. My grandfather had to move to Wisconsin. My grandfather used to bootleg booze as a kid because cops didn't search white kids in good clothing.
Of course not.
There you go. Hey. There you go. Cheers.
Cheers
to all the bootleggers and anyone who outsmarted those prohibition agents. That's why I kind of got a little soft spot for NASCAR, because its origin started as a way to outrun the police and those prohibition officers. Alphonse Capone did nothing wrong. What? He's going to jail for tax evasion? That man's a hero. That's the only reason why they got him, not because of the outfit, because of tax evasion. Nothing else.
Interesting you bring up Capone, or we're talking about Capone here. Do you remember there used to be a restaurant downtown called Capone's that they shut down because it besmirched the reputation of the city of Chicago?
Yes, I remember it. Now, here's the thing. I never was inside there. And if I was, then I was a kid and I don't remember. But
it looked like a really cool place, and it got bought out and then converted to the Rainforest Cafe. Frog outside. But interesting.
I remember a restaurant out in St. Charles called Al Capone's Hideaway. That place was great. I don't know if it's still there, but that actually was one of Al Capone's real hideaways out there.
Yeah.
I was
to a restaurant.
I never had the opportunity to go into Capone's, even though when I was younger, I drove by it and thought it looked like a really cool place. And I think there are probably photos that survive online about what the inside was like. It was not a celebration to the murder and the violence of Al Capone. Al Capone represented an era in Chicago that's, good and bad, right? But I just find it very ironic that there was so much public uproar about how Al Capone made our city look bad. In the meantime, I discovered the other day, I think in a Facebook ad, do you know that there is a museum in the city of Chicago that is dedicated to exhibiting medieval torture? And it's right next to the Chicago Theater.
Well, isn't that duplication there? You're like got one thing right next to the other that are kind of similar.
What, medieval torture in the Chicago theater?
Yeah, that's my joke for this evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. Try the veal.
Boo!
Well, what strikes me as like just so hypocritical and ironic is that while people had such a tough time with Capone's reputation besmirching the city of Chicago's reputation, the photographs, and I don't want to name the museum. I mean, I've already said too much, and I don't want to bring attention to them in a way to promote or advise anybody to go there, because the photographs on the Facebook page with this Museum of Medieval Torture that opened right next door to the Chicago Theater, a wonderful Chicago landmark, depict exhibits of people being dehumanized, tortured, lifelike mannequins, right? I mean, just utterly horrifying images. And it just struck me as I saw this ad on Facebook that routinely censors people for what they say or share intellectually, that this ad with like this hideously like tortured mannequin that represents an individual that looks lifelike, they have no problem with that.
Sorry to interrupt. It's definitely an example of the extreme nature of the American society. How
it is
very much focused. We're fine with like violence and all of that stuff on our TV and movies, but when it comes to actual critical thinking type things, like here come the censor bots.
And what was more chilling to me, though, Ed, was that out of curiosity, I'm like, really? This graphic depiction of violence in a Facebook ad? And it was graphic. I mean, it was as graphic as, it's interesting. Somebody said that they had their account suspended recently because they showed a GIF of a scene from this old thriller called Scanners where a guy's head explodes because he's right? Someone's account was suspended over that, yet Facebook has no problem with this Facebook page to this torture museum, has no problem with them running ads that pop up in your feed for whatever reason. And I clicked through and I saw nothing but 5-star reviews and people saying this was a blast. It was fun to visit. I'm just like, who enjoys that? How do you enjoy lifelike exhibits? And guys, I'm not exaggerating with how horrifying, women on benches being stretched and, with like silicone mannequins that look like it. So I reported the page. I reported the page to Facebook because I said, you know what? I reported it out of curiosity, Kit.
Okay.
And I reported it because it's a graphic depiction of violence that they will routinely suspend other people for, even if it's an image out of context that's humorous, like that GIF from Scanners, right? Of the guy's head exploding to like, some people use that GIF as a way to express my head exploded over what you just shared, right?
Yeah.
Yet so I haven't gotten any word back from Facebook on, I guess I got to check, but normally Facebook will tell you after they've reviewed your complaint, if they've taken action. Wow. I don't see any action taken, guys. Why? Because there's a lot of money to be made with these institutions, these businesses on Facebook that are paying good advertising money. Now, look, it's a legitimate business. I just found it personally. I mean, I'm not trying to be this. I didn't file the report to be the censorship police. It was really an exercise in what's going to happen here. Are they really going to enforce their policies about graphic violence, or are they going to let this slide because it's a paid advertiser? I think we know what the result's going to be, and I will.
It's going to be a paid advertiser.
Go back and check. They're not going to get pulled, despite the fact they've got these horrifying images on their page in their ad that runs on other people's feeds. Nothing's going to happen there, but they will censor and suspend accounts for opinions, political thoughts, anything that doesn't follow the narrative that they want to promote. So the reason we went into a whole detour, but the issue with Capone's restaurant, because when I saw this page advertising this museum right on State Street, beautiful tourist stretch and venue there, a museum celebrating dehumanization, violence, horrible torture, horrible depictions of human misery and suffering. I just found it interesting. That's acceptable next to the Chicago Theater, whereas Capone's restaurant literally got run out of town and shut down.
I guess it depends on what was inside the restaurant. I mean,
there was nothing inside of it. It was. I remember I've seen pictures, and it was very tame. It was just like it was basically imagery, and decorations, Ed, that were celebrating the 30s and the Depression. And
were there photos of the St. Valentine's Day massacre?
I don't recall seeing any photos in the restaurant of the St. Valentine's Day massacre from what I've seen online.
Wait, hold on, wait a minute. Was the story was Al Capone? But yeah, he had a restaurant there, but I mean it was just a freaking restaurant. That's all it was.
Well, Capone's restaurant that got shut down and converted into the Rainforest Cafe because there was so much outrage about why are we celebrating Al Capone? Okay, I don't think it was a celebration. It was using Capone as a mascot
for people in the Great Depression with the soup kitchens and stuff. You know, he was. I mean, sure, he was a gigantic mob monster, but the guy actually helped people while the rest of the city was just suffering.
But more to my point, Ed, Capone's restaurant wasn't a celebration of Capone or what he did. He was literally like a mascot for a restaurant that was celebrating the 1930s. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and Chicago's known for Al Capone,
right? But that was offensive to city leaders. But again, it's like how this little torture museum right next to the Chicago Theater, where people are giving it like 5-star reviews and like what they saw. It just strikes me as like what people accept. Kit, to your point about violence and dehumanization is all okay, but expression of ideas. That's the stuff that's really threatening.
And how many of our corrupt politicians have restaurants named after them that everybody's fine with?
Yeah,
exactly. And not to mention, by the way, thank goodness I kind of forgot about this. Rainforest Cafe closed down there.
Yeah, Word to your entertainment shares used to be going back to the question, the conversation about cities and stuff and billionaires. Used to people would move to the cities because there was no more opportunity. Now no one can afford the cities. Ilhanar also shares. Also, my grandparents taught me never to trust the cops. Why? Because they grew up in Chicago, the most corrupt city in the union. Speaking of corruption and criminals and scumbags, Michael Madigan's back in the news. Defending himself.
That's not a picture of Madigan. That's
no, it's governor. Not. But he figures into the story though. Madigan is using his swollen campaign funds for his defense. Now let's keep in mind a lot of that money came from probably the people who paid him off. They put money into his campaign fund to pay him off to do their bidding, lobbyists and stuff. But I'm sure that there's probably a fair share of campaign funds that were donated by, I don't know, people who believed that for some crazy reason he was actually like a decent representative for them downstate. But he's able to use those campaign funds to defend himself in this upcoming indictment that he's facing. And it's all thanks to Governor Pritzker, as reported by Mark Conkle at Patch. Indicted former House Speaker's personal campaign fund never topped $3.4 million before Governor Pritzker came along. The Illinois Supreme Court last week ruled that indicted elected officials are allowed under state law to spend campaign cash to pay their criminal defense attorneys, effectively giving former House Speaker Michael Madigan permission to continue to tap political war chests engorged by his biggest donor, Governor J.B. Pritzker. No single person or labor union has donated more to Madigan than the $10.17 million that our billionaire governor stuffed into former Illinois Democratic Party bosses' political war chests in 2018. Since then, Pritzker has gone from being the jolly beneficiary of Madigan's legislative might to desperately trying to distance himself from the indicted political boss in every which way, from kicking the former House Speaker's wife off the Illinois Art Council to, quote-unquote, accepting the resignations of top Illinois tollway officials he appointed after a Madigan-connected lobbyist now under indictment on corruption charges vouched for them. This reminds me of how he, suddenly tried to distance himself from comments he made on that phone call with former Governor Rod Blagojevich regarding that fucking golden Senate seat he had up for sale.
Barack Obama!
I wonder what the salary of a top Illinois tollway official is.
Can we find that out?
I don't know. I will have to look.
You look while I
Because
continue.
if they're hiring,
find it. Oh, there you go.
If they're hiring, man, I want that gig.
Go for it. When you follow the money trail, there's no erasing the fact that Pritzker's deep pockets helped make the Madigan political enterprise flush with cash like never before, even as the FBI's massive political corruption probe subpoenaed and indicted members of the former House Speaker's inner circle. Let's put that in perspective, Mr. Conkle says. After Pritzker's 2018 election win, for instance, the Madigan-controlled Democratic Majority Fund had a post-election surplus of $3.3 million in December of 2018. That's a whopping $2.7 million more cash on hand than the fund's surplus following the 2014 gubernatorial elections, state records show. Similarly, the Democratic Party of Illinois campaign funds that Madigan also controlled ended 2018 with a $1.35 million surplus, about $1.1 million more in cash on hand than was left after the 2014 November elections. All right, I'm going to jump past like all the money that we know swelled into that war chest. Campaign records show that between January 18th and February 19, 2021, Madigan's friends funded and paid $2.670 million to the law firm Catton, Muchin, Rosenman, home to the former Speaker's criminal defense attorney Sheldon T. Zenner, who was named a 2022 super lawyer in Illinois. I bet he's super with all of the politicians he's probably representing and trying to keep out of jail. And by the end of 2021, more than $10.5 million in the Friends of Madigan war chest remained at the disposal of the indicted political boss to fund what is undoubtedly his number one priority, staying out of jail for as long as possible. And Madigan won't have to dip into his personal piggy bank, which, as the Illinois Supreme Court has decided, is completely illegal in America's most corrupt state. Well, Mark Conkle is the recipient of the 2011 Pulitzer Prize for local reporting.
Yeah, he's fairly infamous, too, for some of his actions at a previous employer, but you guys can Google all of that nonsense.
Conkle?
Now, here's something I found out. So, toll collector's salary in Chicago, Illinois, right now. A 25 percentile toll collectors, their salary $31,663. 50 percentile toll collectors, $35,081. 75% percentile toll collectors, $40,495. And 90th percentile toll collector's salary, $45,424.
Get your application in, Ed. Get that CV prepared or updated.
I don't know, but think about the extra kickbacks that anyone that's working for Madigan gets.
Yeah. All right. So here's another story I wanted to follow up from, because when we went to air on Tuesday, the Toledo family had not yet made its public appearance on the anniversary of Adam's shooting. But as promised, I wanted to update people to what happened at that memorial for him, as it relates to Kim Fox not pursuing action against the police officer involved in his shooting, nor Anthony Alvarez. Family and community vigil, remember Adam Toledo, with a vigil and call for officer who shot the teen to be held accountable. This comes to us by Stephanie Casanova, Megan Krapow, and Shanzeh Ahmed at the Chicago Tribune. We have some pictures of Adam's mom and his family. On this week's first anniversary of the fatal shooting of teenager Adam Toledo by a Chicago police officer during a foot chase, his family went up to the church where his funeral mass was held and then visited his grave. At the mass at St. Mary's Star of the Sea, Adam's name and memory were mentioned, said Lucy Garcia, his aunt. I don't think his mom spoke. I think we're hearing more quotes from family members. I think they were talking about his mom speaking, but I'm sure it was just too painful for her to be able to compose herself. And I mean, what can she say? Really, what can she say? We saw what happened. We know what's happened. We know how there's not going to be any change in regards to what led up to his shooting. We went to the mass, and then we gathered as a family, ate together, went to the cemetery with all our little ones, Garcia said. We took balloons, flowers. Toledo was killed in an alley in the Little Village neighborhood a year ago Tuesday at age 13. And look, the kid was misguided. I mean, there's no condoning the fact that he got mixed up with the wrong people, but it's like a kid that age doesn't have the maturity or the mental capacity to make adult decisions. And I think that the tragedy we've really looked upon there is that, number one, what got him to that place, and number two, policies in place regarding police foot chase pursuit policies that end up leading to shootings in what are probably not actually threatening situations to police officers. Anyway, we've gone over this ad nauseum, but since then, his family has visited his burial site often, sharing pizza, one of Adam's favorite meals, and leaving at his grave a McDonald's frappe, which he also loved, Garcia said. We take him toys, Hot Wheels, Legos, Garcia said. That's what he used to play. Yeah, we've seen the pictures of Adam looking like a hoodlum, but he was 13 years old, guys. That's what people lose sight of. Bad situation for the kid to be in, and he was 13 years old. That's the larger problem that doesn't seem anybody is able to find a solution for, because you know what? His mom wasn't responsible for it.
Yeah, you know, can I also add something else here too?
Please, go ahead.
I don't care how the kid dressed, okay?
Yep.
Kids dress however which way they want. That's fine. That doesn't define his character or who he is, okay? Now, he made a mistake, an accident, all right? A costly mistake, all right? But the cop overreacted and took that young man's life. The way the media is presenting Adam is downright disrespectful. Not only
not all media, but I think it's more media related to the CPD, right?
Yeah, more media related to the CPD. Okay, all right.
They do nothing wrong.
I'll retract that, but
okay,
and that's a fair point. But the thing is, he was a kid. All right, we don't know who he could have been once he graduated from high school, or if he could have turned himself around. I mean, his life was taken away from him. All those chances and opportunities were taken away from him by a cop that clearly overreacted and took his life. We saw the video. And look, let's be clear. Look, it still haunts me, even watching that video. And
what haunts me the most, kid, is like what led him to these choices, because it wasn't his mom. His mom was struggling to like do the best she could as a single mom. People always love to point the finger at like single parent. Well, where was the father? Why wasn't the father? What's happening in that community that's contributing to the difficulties his mother was facing raising him, working? I mean, he was missing at the time that all this happened. She had filed a police report because he had gone missing with the people he got mixed up with. It's a complicated issue to unwind. But again, as Ilhanar says, an adult killed a child, period. End of story. 13-year-old kid.
Debate. No debate. And that cop should be held accountable for all of his actions.
Accountable. Yeah, I don't know to what degree of accountability or ramifications or punishment that cop should face. That's a hard question also, because Ilhanar also says the cop should rot in prison for life. He killed a kid. I think the cop who shot Anthony Alvarez should rot in prison for life, because he shot Alvarez in the back, and he had a history of I guess misconduct. The cop involved in and I'm not condoning what happened with the cop in the Toledo shooting. I mean, he seemed like he escalated a situation that he shouldn't have, and basically solved the problem by discharging his weapon and not using better judgment in how he decided to pursue this kid. And I know people are going to say, well, Toledo was involved, shooting at cars with the other guy. I don't think it's been proven Toledo was shooting at the cars.
No, that was not the case at all. They were not.
He was
shooting
given the gun by the adult he was with, who was shooting at the cars, and that's why he was stuck with it and caught with it in that moment. Yep. I mean, it's so complicated to unravel. And Ilhanar, I don't know what punishment the cop in the Toledo case should face, but he has to be held accountable in some way, and that Kim Foxx is not pursuing any way to examine this and prevent it from happening again with foot pursuit policies that they constantly say they're changing and they don't, wasting their time on consent decrees that they're kicking the can down the road for, that should solve some of these issues with policies and what ends up happening that we're seeing all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have figured out enough to have a solution, Ilhanar, but I respect what you're saying here.
I also want to add in here too. Let's look at the bigger picture, the incompetence again of Kim Foxx.
Yeah.
That's who's responsible.
She's contributing to the problem as well.
Yeah.
For politics. After visiting the cemetery The family gathered with community supporters in the alley where he was killed and held a news conference late Tuesday. White balloons were released as a community member sang Juan Gabriel's famous ballad, Amore Eterno, or Eternal Love. Lyrics translated, how I wish you would live, that your little eyes would have never shut, and I could be looking at them. Adam's mother hugged family members, crying into their shoulders as the balloons drifted into the sky. We love you, Adam, some of the family and community members yelled. The group gathered next to a mural, an outline of a child with raised hands and angel wings, and in a corner of the mural, the words, Long Live Adam. A Virgin of de Guadalupe image in a frame hung on the wooden fence next to the painting. On Tuesday, a blue and silver shimmery garland hung across it, and white flowers were placed on a corner of the frame. Garcia said seeing the community come out and support them helps the family maintain strength as they continue to fight for justice. They want the officer to be held accountable, she added. We're also out here because we're not happy at all with Kim Foxx's decision, Garcia said. Earlier this month, Fox, the Cook County State's attorney, announced that her office would not bring charges against Eric Stillman, the officer who shot Toledo. Stillman knew Toledo had been carrying a weapon that night and believed the teen was turning toward him to shoot, Fox said. There was not evidence to prove that he acted with criminal intent, Fox said. The vigil was also a call for justice, said Christian Armendariz, a community organizer with the Little Village Community Council, who worked with the family to organize the event. If you come to our neighborhood, Little Village, and kill one of our children, we're going to hold you accountable, Armendariz said. Doesn't matter if you're an elected official, if you're hiding behind a badge or any fancy office desk, we're going to hold you accountable. After Toledo was shot last year, Charles Odom, chairman of the Union to End Slums, a community organization, wondered why black and brown communities don't come together to speak out against police killings and other injustices. Odom called organizers from the Little Village Community Council, and the two organizers started working together, along with the Peacemakers Coalition. Several members of both community groups were at Tuesday's vigil. I also hope that they're doing as much as they should be doing with the accountability is trying to reach out to and reach these kids in these communities to prevent some of the bad choices that lead to the tragedies that end up happening once police get involved. The three organizations have hosted Loteria and Bingo Nights and organized a 1,000-man march last May. Odom said community members have responded well to the collaboration, and some have commented the organization should have started working together sooner. Alan Evans, president of the Peacemakers Coalition, said the organizations are going to do what they can to try to get justice. I'm 77 years old, Evans said, and police have been shooting my friend since I was about 13. Garcia said it's been difficult explaining Adam's death to the kids in the family, including his 4-year-old nephew. He's always asking, why did Adam go bye-byes? When is he coming? Garcia said. Those are the questions we always have to. It hurts us to hear that. We have a lot of little ones asking the same thing over and over. She said she misses having Adam around because he was always happy, and if he saw someone in a bad mood, he would take the time to know the right thing to say to change their mood. Kids are like that. I have nephews that are like that. I'm sure everybody's got younger members of their family that are like that. And that's the bright light that shines in all of our lives.
Yeah.
You always know the right thing to say to change the mood. Addressing some comments people have made on social media criticizing the family, Garcia said Adam's only mistake that night was sneaking out of his home like many teenagers do. Unfortunately, our Adam never came home, he said. Last year, prosecutors brought criminal charges against Ruben Roman, the man who was with Toledo the night he was shot. Roman was captured on video firing the gunshots that brought officers to the area, authorities have said. He fired off shots at the corner of 24th Street and Sawyer Avenue, and he fled with Toledo shortly afterward, with officers pursuing them into an alley, according to Cook County prosecutors. I was looking for Roman's age, but it doesn't say. Roman was arrested first after apparently having handed the gun to Toledo. Toledo kept running. Can you imagine a 13-year-old kid's out with this knucklehead, this idiot, this fucking douchebag who's shooting at cars? 13-year-old kid is looking up to an adult, and the adult gives him the gun to hide for him. You would hope that a 13-year-old kid would know better, but they don't. They don't. They're not mature enough. They trust adults. They look up to and trust what adults tell them to do. And sadly, in this case, Adam didn't know that this guy was a dirtbag. And this is not who someone you should be hanging out with, let alone trust when they tell you to do something. Really, you got to point by point dissect this. Roman was arrested first after apparently having handed the gun to Toledo. Toledo kept running. Video of the shooting shows. Pursued by Stillman, Roman was initially charged with gun crimes and felony child endangerment. However, when he was formally indicted by a grand jury, child endangerment charges were not included. meaning Roman's case is no longer tied to Toledo's death. He is awaiting trial only on gun charges. Fox campaigned on a promise to request that each police shooting be investigated by a special prosecutor, stating that Cook County's state's attorneys have an inherent conflict of interest because they work so closely with police. That promise did not come to pass, however. Since 2019, police shootings have been assessed for charges by a unit within the state's attorney's office that is largely separated from the regular chain of command. In order for a special prosecutor to investigate the circumstances of Toledo's shooting, Cook County prosecutors would have to withdraw the office from handling the matter, or a judge would have to rule that a special prosecutor is necessary after someone formally petitions for one to be appointed. I don't even follow. I mean, I know I spoke fast through that, but I'm like, even if I went back and dissected that sentence by sentence, I'm not following like how easy that would be to do. Or Fox's office has fought the request for a special prosecutor in a police shooting at least once before, after Cook County prosecutors declined to bring charges in the 2011 police shooting of Flint farmer. Farmer's father petitioned a judge to appoint a special prosecutor, an effort Cook County prosecutors opposed during hearings in 2017. Ultimately, then, presiding judge of the criminal division, Leroy Martin Jr., declined to assign an outside attorney, saying that he could not find an inherent conflict of interest in Cook County prosecutors investigating police. Okay. Solutions? Do you know what I do every election that there are judges on the ballot? There are websites that allow you to go check a judge's record. Any misconduct, any questionable rulings. That's the record. Those are the records I really look at before I go to vote, because when you go, because I used to go into voting booths and look at all these judges' names, and I'm just like, I don't know who to select. I'm just whatever. I fear that there are a lot of judges in our system that are corrupt, routinely make bad rulings, legislate and rule the wrong way, but we don't know about it. It's not covered by the news. So as Dominic from True Democracy Now! Is always encouraging us regarding our choices of elected officials that we're responsible for selecting, it's very easy to know the candidates for mayor, for alderman. They're always in the news cycle. Viewers, next election, spend time before you go into a voting booth if there are judges on the ballot. And there are websites that are compiled that show the judge's history, where you can make notes of those that have made questionable rulings and decisions and might be corrupt based on their alliances with certain rulings and cases they've been involved with, and vote against them. I think when we talk about what can we do to change things, even if we don't feel that we can change with our alder people or the mayor because things are so stacked against us, I do think that there's power in voting against these judges or knowing a judge's record to try to shake the system loose of these bad judges who, as in this case I just talked about, is not willing to assign or appoint a special prosecutor. Why? It's not an unreasonable request. Anyway, let me go to the live chat. You know what? Actually, guys, you share your thoughts, and I will share some of our thoughts from the live chat. I'll pop them up.
All right, Edward, you want to shoot first?
I don't know what else to say that's hasn't already been said every time we talk about this story.
Yeah.
It's but you're absolutely right. Do your research before you go and vote. Electoral politics is only going to get you so far, but it's going to be a little more effective on the local level than it will be on the national level, as most people can see. If you're not running for office, you definitely should be, trying to do your research and helping to support the good people and try to get rid of the bad people on the local levels, so that at the very least, if you're trying to make change in electoral politics, if you feel you're going to go down that road, try to do it locally. I was, before I started doing a little more research on politics, I would basically, when I'd go in, I would err on the side of voting no on all the retention for all of the judges, unless I specifically knew that there was a judge worth holding on to. It kind of feels like that if you're going to lean toward one of those things where you're either voting yes for all of them or no for all of them, I would lean toward the no, because odds are that it's more likely that they're corrupt than they aren't these days, and let the people who really know about these judges get a little more weight on retaining or getting rid of them, by making these judges fight a little harder to stay in an impartial role, which maybe they're not being so impartial in.
And I think they rely on people being so overwhelmed going into the ballot booth and looking at this long list of judges and what do I choose? I didn't realize there are judges on the ballot to research them ahead of time. Every election, check and see if we're reelecting our judges or appointing new judges and look at their records. Because I think at some level, if people are more informed about judges' records and what they stand for and what they represent or what their agendas are, I do think that I actually really truly believe that there's more change to be made that way in voting for or against judges, as far as when they're suddenly put in the position of making decisions, knowing that the right people are in there that will hopefully make the right decision. Ilharnar makes a absolutely fantastic point in the live chat here. I want to highlight. Yeah, this is what I've seen a lot with the Adam Toledo case. People love to tell others how to raise their kids. It's an American pastime. Well, I tell people like that, try raising 3 kids on 3 jobs that pay minimum wage, then get back to me. And that's the community that kids like Adam are sadly growing up in, with a single mom.
If I could add in here real quick,
mm-hmm.
The tragic loss of young Adam. The sad fact is more young kids like him are at risk of being eaten up by this neoliberal system that we have created.
We haven't created; it's been thrown upon us. But I take your point.
It's been thrown upon us.
Yeah.
But we have also contributed to its existence.
Okay.
As well.
Yeah.
And the thing is, what we need to do for this election for 2023, we have to do our due diligence and research to actually vote out these horrifying politicians that don't care. The fact that, and it's not related to Chicago, but earlier in Heartland's Media, we talked about how Maxine Waters was telling homeless people, poor people, to go home, and they have no homes to go home to at all. These politicians that are in office, a lot of these judges, a lot of these administrators just don't care. We have to know who's in office, their history, their voting record, and they got to go. And the first step is really the citizens' responsibility. All of us right now, we have to do our job and looking at who these jagoffs are, who these bad people are, so we can get them out of office, so we can rally our community. Look at what Christian Smalls did in Staten Island. They were able to successfully set up the beginning stages of a union, a big victory over Amazon. Now, their fight is far from over, but if they can get that one step forward for pushing forward to build something better, we as Chicagoans have to do the same as well.
Yeah, it's first steps. Oh, speaking of our corrupt elected officials, Kit.
Oh, no.
Did you hear this story?
Oh, no.
Yep. Mayor Lightfoot wants to foist the 2024 Democratic National Convention upon us, along with Senator Tammy Duckworth. They're coordinating around a bid. If anything, if there's nothing else that will hopefully convince you where Lightfoot's allegiances lie, she's not a progressive. She was never a progressive. She was always she was camouflaged. She was always a neoliberal Democratic operative.
She's a cog in the blue machine.
That's right, as Rahm Emanuel was. So there's Sleepy Joe on his last legs, I think. But
sleepy, creepy Uncle Joe. The reason why I got my hood up, because I'm just thinking, like, on the one side, okay, great. Heartland's Media doesn't have to travel to the next convention. It's a hip and a skip. It's a hop and a skip away from being in our backyard.
Yeah,
the other
that's
side
true.
too. Think about all the. I'm dreading to think of all the candidates that are going to be running in the 2024 election. There's no one I'm excited about. What? The possibility they're going to bring up Hillary Clinton or Ro Khanna.
She's already been floating her trial balloons, Kit. That whole operation or that whole press coverage of her with her master class a couple months ago. Join my master class in leadership, where you can hear the acceptance speech I would have given if it hadn't been for Orange Man. Those were the trial balloons to see, is the public going to go for this? If we present her on this platform where they can attend her master class about leadership, she's working it. We talked about this on the show in New York with Shane this morning. We covered, she's been asked, and of course she's not saying anything, but she's like a Cheshire cat about it. She gives
that creepy smile. First, Joe Biden said he wants to run again, and so far he hasn't made any indication that he's not going to run. I mean, who knows what's going to happen? But you got Ro Khanna potentially throwing his hat in the ring. You got Warren. You got, of course, this talk of Hillary Clinton. And, of course, you got everyone's favorite psychopath. That's right, the one, the only, Kamala Harris.
It was a debate! Yep. Failing upward, as they often do. Not one delegate, and she dropped out. Tulsi Gabbard handily hobbled her, kneecapped her, but she still ended up coming out on top because they knew Kamala Harris, who will say anything and stand for nothing, could be easily installed once Joe shouts out.
Miguel, I'm going to take that. Hold on. You have Kamala saying, "Do not come. Do not come."
Yes.
And then Trump saying, "I'm going to come."
Oh, I saw that video. I wish I had it. Yeah. Lightfoot loves Kamala the cop. They are kindred spirits, I would imagine. All right, let me get into the article. As reported by Natasha Korecki of NBC5 News. Chicago. Is it Chicago? No, this is from NBC News, although it relates to Chicago. All right. Democrats are eyeing Chicago as a city of interest to host the party's 2024 convention. And the mayor, the governor, and a key U.S. senator are coordinating on a plan to make it happen, the firm helping with the potential bid confirmed to NBC News on Wednesday. While the discussions are early and informal, some national Democrats already see the Midwestern city as an appealing contender, in part for its heartland geography, touching key swing states like Wisconsin and Michigan, but also because of the comfort that would come with holding a marquee political event in a tried-and-true blue state. A source who has taken part in early discussions with National Democrats said, "Hey, look, we could recreate the ambiance of the Democratic Convention in the 1960s. We got everybody will be rioting."
68
right?
was a blast, wasn't it?
Yeah. That goes down as a great, wholesome, family-friendly moment in the city of Chicago. Nothing, not once, ever went wrong. No, don't bother looking in the history book. It's fine, kiddos. Don't worry about it. Chicago would never have anything horrible happen at any of its conventions. Nothing happened. Don't worry about it.
For the younger viewers in our audience, this is known as sarcasm.
Bring the hate of 68 to the tried and true blue state. As the DNC begins planning for a 2024 Democratic National Convention, Chicago is considering a bid to be the host city. Tara Cooper Wright, CEO of, I love it, the CEO of Rise Strategy Group. They're so important. Their names, they just sound so important, these political consulting groups, who is helping assist with a potential Chicago bid, said in a statement to NBC News. The firm was hired by a nascent committee supporting a Chicago convention bid made up of elected officials, businesses, civic and labor leaders, she said. I'm beginning to understand why Lori's in a rush to get that casino put together, bordering Chinatown.
Yeah, so that her and her Democrat friends can actually start, gambling and talking how they're going to screw over poor people. By the way, Jerry, I found you the video.
Oh, did you? Is it in the live chat?
It's in the private chat.
All right, let me bring it up real quick. Okay, copy the link address. All right, guys, let's. This is going to be great. I saw this before. It's pretty funny.
Do not come.
Chicago.
Do not come.
I'm going to come.
Her face. That's a good one.
And she's like, "I can't believe you come."
Yeah. I don't want to think of Donald Trump coming to Chicago or anywhere else, but that's what she said.
Oh, ba-dum-bum.
All right, so back to the article with this important Rise Strategy Group. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, Mayor Lori Lightfoot, and Senator Tammy Duckworth, who is also a DNC vice chair, have been coordinating on the possible bid along with the state's other Democratic party chairs. Representative Robin Kelly and Senator Dick Durbin, Cooper Wright said. Republicans have already narrowed their potential 2024 host cities to two, Milwaukee and Nashville. But Democrats remain in the earlier stages of planning. The party remains in the thick of midterm strategy. It's going to be a bloodbath, and are still ferreting out an early state primary election schedule. The Democratic National Committee has not yet launched a formal request for proposals to host the convention, but Las Vegas is another city that is a potential strong contender, a source involved in the bidding process said. Las Vegas, you can have them. Las Vegas has a similar appeal in its ability to host large-scale events. In this case, Nevada is a swing state and is also top contenders to supplant Iowa in kicking off Democrats' presidential primary contest. Last summer, the DNC put out a letter of interest to numerous cities inviting applications, including Chicago. In early talks about the convention, Democrats have informally discussed whether to continue with a traditional one-city host or add satellite cities and project key speeches, which would take a page from the successful 2020 virtual convention. For Chicago, the pluses include a hotel infrastructure that can easily accommodate a large event, something that was a sticking point when Milwaukee hosted the 2020 convention. At that time, some of the delegates were booked in hotels out of state near Chicago's O'Hare Airport, and because of COVID, the Milwaukee convention was significantly pared down, with much of it going virtual. President Joe Biden chose to give his nomination speech from his home state of Delaware. Wasn't that in his nomination speech? That wasn't in his bunker. COVID hadn't hit yet. No, did he?
Yeah, he gave it from his bunker.
He was in his basement bunker. That's right. Yeah, he was. Yeah. I'm remembering those all those endless speeches from his studio bunker, and I lost track of we routinely saw them up to the election and even after. Okay, so here's the elephant in the room.
Fun fact before you get to the elephant, Jerry.
Okay. Yeah.
Fun fact: the CEO and founder of Rise Strategy Group is Tara Cooper Wright, and guess who she worked for from 2011 through 2015?
2011 through 2015. Clinton.
Ambassador
Rahm Emanuel. I knew it. He will never. He's like an STD. We're never going to get rid of him out of this city.
He was his press secretary.
So we can imagine this is going to be a done deal without even continuing talking about this.
On the one hand, this is a perfect opportunity because here's the thing. I'm going to tell Daniel that there's a potential possibility that Chicago could host the next Democratic convention, to which he'll be like, okay, great. And then this is another chance where Harlan's Media and Chicago Corner can tag team and shine a light on the absolute failure that is the Democratic Party, neoliberalism at its finest, corruption, and the fact that, now you have all these jagoff politicians saying now they care. You got Maxine Waters walking amongst poor people saying for them to go home. You got AOC quickly hanging on to the Amazon victory saying, yay, congratulations, even though she was needed many months ago, including that jagoff Bernie Sanders. All these politicians now saying things like, oh, what does Medicare for All mean for you? We got to do something about Medicare for All, like that idiot Ro Khanna. Everyone, they're all saying it. Don't believe these Democratic politicians. Look, I know that the Republican Party is filled with jagoffs too. They're both one the same. But my goodness, people, think for yourselves.
We're trying to hold our jagoffs accountable to change things and reform things for the better, is what it comes down to. Dominic from True Democracy Now! Shares, we cannot have a representative democracy if we keep electing representatives that make decisions for us. We need to make political decisions for them instead. Yes. Ilhan our shares. Now Biden's coming. Oh, God.
God. Why'd you put that? Why'd you say that?
In our head. And
don't come, Joe.
Thank you, Warren.
Don't come.
Oh, boy. There's another comment here. Where was it? Can't wait for Biden to script Lightfoot's name and call her a man.
Oh, that'd be funny.
But, I know what I was going to say. Just whether or not we have the press credentials, Kit, we know we're going to get shut out. No,
actually, no. We do have press credentials.
I know we do. I know we have them, but I'm saying, even though we have press credentials, they'll probably shut us out.
No, we're not. No. We're getting inside. Oh, yes, we are. I'll figure out a way.
So with conventions like this, even though I know press credentials are supposed to get us in, aren't there also like gatekeepers that will allow certain press in and certain press not to attend?
Of course, but don't worry, Jerry. Don't worry. If Daniel Lupker and I, with no press credentials or press passes, can walk through the front door, because we didn't go through the ceiling, roof, or basement. We didn't go through any side entrances or get snuck in. Daniel Lupker and I, with nothing, got through all that security at the Wells Fargo Center on the day Hillary Clinton was being nominated. We'll figure out a way.
Love that.
What I would like to see us do is 99 Perspectives logo cubes on some microphones up at those press conferences.
Yeah.
Again.
I'd like to see us sneaking in through skylights on the roof with
we'll figure it out.
Ropes and hooks. All right, so Ilhan or Biden can talk about how when he was swimming, Lightfoot would caress his legs because he has blonde hair.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank Mayor Corn Pop. He's a bad dude. All right, so getting back to the article, the big concern here, okay, the big elephant in the room, and it's not the Republicans. One concern with Chicago, however, what do you guys think? Crime. Yeah. One of the sources involved in discussions with National Democrats said the city had nearly 800 homicides in 20. It's not funny, but it's like, oh my God. 800 homicides in 2021, the highest number in 25 years. It's also experiencing a surge in carjackings, though police say such incidents have dropped so far this year. Cooper Wright argued that Chicago has proved able to hold other large-scale events. The city hosted the 2012 NATO summit. I protested at that. And regularly hosts Lollapalooza and the Air and Water Show, which draws massive crowds along the shores of Lake Michigan. Chicago hosted the convention in 1996 when then President Bill Clinton ran for re-election, but it is also infamous for the police brutality on display at the 1968 Democratic Convention when thousands of Vietnam War protesters descended on the city in a wide-scale rebuke of the war. Police tear gassed, dragged, and beat demonstrators, images that were captured on television. That moment gave birth to a chant, "The whole world is watching," signifying activism in the face of abuse of authority. And I hear that at every protest I cover or attend now. The whole world is watching. The whole world is watching. The whole world is watching. Thoughts?
I think if they do end up coming here for the Democratic National Convention, then we definitely have to make some plans to do some coverage and special events to make sure that they know that we're here and we're watching.
Miguel H. Biden's going to ask to see Lightfoot's dick.
He'll be like, "I'll measure against you, Corn Pop. It's been a while, buddy."
Some bad dudes here in Chicago. Ilhan shares, come live in the city. It's so nice. Never mind the bodies on the floors of those houses. Blood comes out. All right, so our last story. This is kind of like this is a last-minute story I just threw in because it actually popped up in my newsfeed as we were doing the show. But I know that this will be kind of our feel-good story because I didn't have a feel-good story. But I know that it will appeal to Ed. Latest best city clickbait has ingredients for the worst pizza list.
Yeah, I saw that list.
Did you? Okay, all you have to do is tell the truth. Chicago is America's top pizza city, and Detroit is dressed up garlic bread. Don't believe the fake pizza news circulating on social media. The latest definitive list of the best cities for pizza based on AnytimeEstimate.com's statistical computation of demographics, Google search trends, cheese pizza prices, and 3 list-making publishers, including Pizza Today, is a bunch of bunk. Detroit is not now, nor will ever be, America's #1 pizza city. And there's no way that Cleveland and Columbus, Ohio should actually rank as the #2 and #3 pizza cities in the USA. What the website's data crunching actually determined is which cities have the most cheap pizza joints per capita. That's why cities including Philadelphia and St. Louis, Tampa, and Minneapolis all rank higher on the pizza city list than Chicago. And Milwaukee, of all places, ranked a spot higher than #22, New York City. The definitive pizza city list doesn't consider why a pie costs about $1 more than the national average in Chicago, home to 50% fewer pizza joints per capita than Detroit, Cleveland, and Columbus, because Chicagoans have extremely high pizza standards.
That we do.
Well, that and also high taxes.
Yeah.
The White Sox made the mistake of selling slices of Chicago-based DiGiorno pizza, a brand almost exclusively sold in supermarket freezers. But the team was smart enough to bring in Beggar's Pizza, a sit-down pizza chain, once the ill-advised contract for frozen pies expired. In America's supposedly number 22 pizza town, the Cleveland Browns still sell DiGiorno pizza at First Energy Stadium. Let's face it, some tourists come to Chicago to eat pizza, from iconic deep dish pies to cracker-thin crust. This article's getting me hungry.
Yeah, it is. It's getting me hungry, too.
Topped with tasty Italian sausage, salty mozzarella, and sweet sauce, and cut in tiny squares. It's safe to assume pizza-eating tourists, not locals, help make our town number one in Google searches for Chicago-style pizza. Still, Pizza Twitter wants us to believe in a best pizza city list that ranks Indianapolis ahead of Chicago and New York City. Because Hoosiers were the number one ranked Google searchers of taco pizza. Taco pizza is not pizza, guys.
Dude, it's a tostada.
Thank you.
Yeah. But seriously, I mean, sure. I mean, if you're in the mood for a taco pizza, go for it. But, you know, if you're going to eat tacos, eat tacos. If you're going to eat pizza, eat pizza.
Exactly. This is a fact. This isn't an opinion. This is a fact. You want pizza, you come to Chicago, not New York City.
And if you're going to do a taco pizza, you order a pizza and you order tacos, and then you put tacos on top of the pizza.
Thank you. Scientific facts right here.
So for Conkle, he reports the biggest reason to doubt the findings of a clickbait website is the determination that Chicago ranks as America's third best deep dish pizza city behind Raleigh and Charlotte and North Carolina. Come on. When he Googled
North Carolina is so well known for its deep dish pizza.
When he Googled details about the North Carolina deep dish scene, the best places to get a thick pie in Charlotte are a joint called Matt's Chicago and the Chicago-based pizza chain Rosati's, according to Yelp.
All right, Rosati's ain't too bad.
Frankly, nothing about the Pizza City rankings makes much sense. Besides, there's no need for Thank you, Oreo, for blocking the screen. Besides, there's no need for ham-handed data manipulation to start a Twitter war. All you have to do is tell the truth. Detroit pizza is fancy garlic bread.
Actually, I don't hate Detroit pizza. Detroit-style pizza is kind of nice once in a while. You know, I'm a big fan of all the styles of pizza, you know. In Chicago, we are lucky in Chicago to have at least 4 distinct styles. And as you can see in my video feed here, I am working on some fancy NFT tokens based on Chicago pizza.
Go. You've made some great progress with some new designs that you were sharing with me in Slack. They look great.
Can I show you some of them?
Please do. And let me also quickly share in the chat as you prepare this. A great comment from, where was it? I just lost it. From AG. It's all about sausage in Chicago. Ask the mayor. Because you know Mayor Lightfoot's got a bigger dick than all of us.
Okay.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, these are works in progress, but they're coming very close to completion here.
Nice
And then I got to figure out that technical thing where I actually make them available for sale and hook them up to the blockchain. But as you know, we were talking about jalapenos as an option here for like every one of these coins, by the way, is unique. There is not one of them that is exactly the same. They all have different background, like NFT coin designs here. They got different pizzas on them. Some of them have different colors. You can see some of these are really fancy and rare, like these really like two-tone with the flames and stuff. It's pretty cool. They have different sayings. This one says, "Cheese and sausage, well done," which is how a lot of the locals like to order their thin crust pizzas.
God, you're making me hungry, Ed.
Oh my God.
I haven't had dinner yet. I think I had food prepared for a couple days. I did meal prep, but I think I'm just going to order a pizza now.
We're loading here. Yeah, so you can see,
Nice work.
We got different colors. I don't know which ones are the most rare, but these are all unique. And some people will say, "Oh, well, I gotta have the caramelized pan one." Well, when they first go on sale, and there's going to be 500 of them to start.
Whoa.
You won't know which one you get until you make the purchase. And then once you get them, you're collecting them like trading card packs. So you can buy, I think I'm going to limit it up to you can get up to 20 coins if you can afford to get those. And then they can be resold, or you can trade them, or give them to people. And when you give, if you're reselling them, I get I think you can set your resell percentage, but I think the average for people for artists is they get 10% of whatever the coin sells for if it gets resold. So
how will you promote these to be able to get people to know about them and purchase them?
Well, to start, I've got a web page I'm putting together so that people can figure out where to get to them from realdeepdish.com, which is my website. But also, I'm going to have to do a lot of social media. I'm going to have to go and talk to all the different places that sell these things and see if they'll either host my coins on their website or feature them, or and I'll have to use the NFT hashtag everywhere and get on somebody's radar to make sure that they know.
I think we need to figure out how you can get Chicago media to pay attention to this, and we'll promote it through the Twitter feeds. But I think that's
not a bad idea either.
No, we have to. I mean, we have to get attention of Chicago media and Chicago cultural social media feeds.
So if you're noticing the coin I stopped on here, notice it says, "Hey, who took the corner piece?" See, there's a piece missing from this. This is an option that's not available in as many coins as some of the other options are. So you may only find, out of 500, you may only find 10 that actually have a corner piece missing, which makes them more rare and therefore more valuable.
Very
well. I'm on board with this already. I love it.
That's really that's very clever, Ed. I think this is really cool. Well,
this is a good idea.
Going to promote this.
There we go.
And then the plan is if these sell good, maybe I will make maybe either a smaller collection with new art or some other thing that's even more rare, and then I can maybe sell them at a higher price for the people who are already collecting and going, well, I need this rare piece. You never know. I mean, some of these crypto and Wall Street traders, they got lots of money to burn, and if they're from the Chicago area, this might be something they're really interested in collecting. So here's this one. It says, "A lovely cheese pizza just for me," which some of you know from that one movie.
Which movie? I don't remember that. What's that related to?
Home Alone.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Nice work, dude. A lot of compliments in the live chat.
Yeah, a lot of good from Wardeer, Eleanor, Miguel H. I think right now we're all agreed that we're hungry for pizza.
Absolutely. I was just thinking that, kid. It's I want to go get some pizza now.
Yeah, now I want to get some pizza too.
I know. I'm kicking myself because I didn't make pizza dough yesterday because I was going to make a pizza today, but maybe I'll just have to wait till tomorrow.
Yeah, I want some pizza, man. I want some pizza now.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts or news to share at the end here, Kit, regarding HLM?
Taking a final swig of this.
I'm just at the bottom, and I've managed to get through the show drinking this much Jack and Coke throughout, and not be completely soused yet.
All right, here we go.
Yet.
Oh yeah. There we go. There we go.
Any updates from HLM?
Today was our 5th anniversary.
Yay! Congratulations, dude.
I know.
You and Daniel and the whole team over at Hard Lens.
Yep, for all 5 years. We started April 1st, 2017.
The founding members deserve incredible accolades.
Yeah, well, we're glad that we've built up such a wonderful team so far. We're not done yet. We're still doing some more things. It's going to be live and direct here at the 99 Perspective Studio with Hard Lens Media, Chicago Corner, World Perspectives Radio Chicago. We're not done yet. We're going to take over. That's my short announcement. Otherwise, Jerry, the floor is all yours.
Yeah, I got nothing else. Add anything else aside from the progress with the pizza NFTs?
No, just check out realdeepdish.com. Learn how to make Chicago style pizza at home. Deep dish pizza is super easy to make. Just get yourself a cake pan, get yourself some ingredients, and make a delicious pizza at home. And buy all the merch, will ya? Buy some merch. There's t-shirts, even if you people out on the East Coast, I got a shirt for you. It says East Coast Slice Folding Armada.
What a nice comment from Warren. Thank you, Warren. I'd love to have you back on, Warren, or come back on your show sometime and just have some fun. So let's reconnect offline. Ilhan, thank you. We love you guys. Keep being you.
And by the way,
that's all we can do.
And by the way, Chicago Corner does have its origins with Hard Lens Media. So in many ways, Chicago Corner can enjoy the celebration of today's anniversary, because without Hard Lens, Chicago Corner would not come into fruition. So this is your celebration too, guys. Don't forget that.
Well, ironically, Kid, I was just reflecting on the fact as we covered the anniversary. Anniversaries are supposed to be celebrations, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the Toledo shooting was a year ago from this week, and that's when I joined you guys. So this is kind of my anniversary of coming and joining and covering stories on Hard Lens Media, which I'm very grateful for. It's been a lot of fun. I love you guys. It's really so wonderful to be embraced by a team of other creatives and people who really I look up to, that also appreciate what I can bring, what I try to bring to this program. I'm just trying to be honest and cover things objectively with other people who are, I think we're all in the pursuit of trying to find the truth of things. And I want to thank you on this anniversary of having joined the Hard Lens Media family by participating in hosting Chicago Corner. The opportunities here to have a platform, share things, and just participate in the dialogue and discourse. So thank you, Kit, and also Daniel, who's not here with us, but both of you were really wonderful in welcoming me, and I've met wonderful people there with Kira, Ed, Laney, Casey, who helped us with a lot of videography last year. We haven't had a chance to cover as much in the field, even though we will in the future with the pandemic finally seeming to be behind us, and with other political stuff on the horizon, with the possibility of the convention coming to Chicago. There'll be a lot of exciting things in the future to explore.
We're not done yet.
Absolutely. Well, gentlemen, Kit and Ed, thank you for joining us tonight in covering stuff. We will be back again on Tuesday. And to everyone in our viewing audience, please remember as we go into the weekend to stay safe. Take care of each other, watch over each other, be vigilant, and remember, if it's happening on the streets, you will hear about it on Chicago Corner. So please have a safe weekend, everybody. Have fun, celebrate, enjoy, and we will see you next Tuesday as we return to the news. Just about gone. Stay safe, Chicago.